Hello again. Back for brew day number 2. This time collaboration with our friends at Malt Miller, who unfortunately, due to unforeseen events, weren't actually able to make it today for the brew day. But we've worked on the recipe together. With Stiffo and Reiki and the guys, you know, we've come up with the grist, the water profile, yeast, hop combos and everything. They just couldn't make it down to join us for the brew day. I think they just wanted to get out of digging the mash tun, but you know, I'll let them defend themselves down in the comments below. Anyway, so today's brew day is we're aiming for session strength 4.5% New Zealand hazy pale. So grist for today is 78% extra pale malt from our friends at Simpsons, 13% flaked rolled oats. So please car, that's what I was trying to think of. Rolled oats, not as much as the double IPA, but still decent to get that silkiness in there. We've got 5% of wheat malt, and then also 3.7%, call it 4% among friends, of chit malt, just to add that bit of head retention. Try and get a bit more into the beer. So that's the grist we're aiming for. We are looking for an OG gravity of this beer, not particularly high, 1051. What I want is we're mashing it really warm, so at sort of 69.5 degrees. So we get quite high finishing gravity, should be in the kind of 10-16ish region. Bitterness for this beer is only going to be 20 IBUs, and we're just putting a small amount of Mosaic into the boil. I quite like Mosaic as a boil hop. It's just one of those things. It's not loads we're adding into the boil hop, just to boil hops into the boil to get that bitterness, with 75 grams at 60 minutes and 125 at 30, just to kind of get some of that in there. It'll stop boilovers, it'll add a little bit to the head retention of the final beer as well. Anyway, yeast is going to be WHC Haze Heaven, just because we wanted a big, thick, hazy, juicy beer, and that is definitely the yeast at the moment. And the hop combinations we're going for are Motueka, Ruwaka and Muter, so we're going full New Zealand all the way. Now what we're doing is, in this beer, I'm applying a similar theory around the 40, 45%, 30, 35%, and then sort of 15 to 20% ratio of the hops through, and then flipping that from hot side into cold side dry hopping. So for example, in the size batch we're doing here, which is going to be 900 litres final in the tank, starting out with 1,000 litres in boil, we're going to be whirlpooling with 1,500 grams, so 1.5 kilos of Motueka, 625 grams of Ruwaka, and then 500 grams of Muter. We'll then be flipping that around the other way around, and putting more Ruwaka, still loads of Motueka, but less Muter, a little bit more Ruwaka, so we're kind of moving them around. But Motueka is still going to be the shining light, if you know what I mean, through this, with Motueka, with Muter and Ruwaka is kind of playing around in the background. Ruwaka can get a bit diesely and a bit overpowering if you're not careful. Water profile is, we're pushing things to the real limit, so it's 200, just shy of 200 ppm chloride, so really big on the roundness, but then we're also then pushing up the sulfate, so up to, I think it's 80 ppm with using gypsum, just to balance that out, and it's allow the hops to shine a little bit more. Don't let the water profile get too chalky. So I've actually split 50-50 calcium chloride flakes with sodium, so with salt, to allow us to keep that while also keeping the calcium below 100. I know at this point Rob's gone to sleep, but you know, hey. Anyway, so that's the beer. 900 litres in tank. This is going to be keg and can, like the double IPA from the previous video. So this is number 2 of 3 beers of our collaboration beers for our 3rd birthday party, and back-to-back brew days as well. So next video will be tomorrow in the future, of which you'll have to wait and see what that one is, but we're quite excited about who we've got coming in for that collaboration. So best we get mashing in and get this done. So one of the things I tend to do on my brew days, because of how my kit's set up and what I can do, is I take gravity readings all the way through the runoff. So what this allows me to do is to build up a picture over time of how certain beers and how my kit behaves and how on target we are for achieving the gravities that we need. So what happens with a big brew kit like ours is you start off with getting really high strength work. We actually have this situation where the first run-ins are 1076 and then it actually gets stronger over the first 200 litres of sparging, and then it starts to drop. So of course what you have is, up to this point, you've got more than 300 litres, to be honest, 500-600 litres of really high strength work, way above the pre-ball 1047 that we're looking for. So then what happens over time is you continue to sparge, the gravity drops, and then that dilutes it. So for example, this is literally the final runnings. Just get that there. This is the final runnings out of the underback. Let's turn that on. We have this on up on the brew deck to make life easier. So then I would expect this to be in the sort of 10, 006, 007, 008 range, which is as low as you want to go. But what it means is that we are diluting down this really high strength work as we're going down through. So say it was 1015 100 litres ago, we're at 10.7 now. That should get us to our pre-bore volume and gravity of 1047. So that's one of the things that we do. See, actually, is that sample is a little bit warm, so actually that's pretty much bang on to what I would expect. Also, today's yeast is, again, for this New Zealand hazy pale that we're making with the Malt Miller, this is Haze Heaven once again. But this is going to be in a 4.5% hazy New Zealand pale ale, which should be pretty fabulous. So one of the other things that I also use to test and make sure I've got my strength of disinfectant correct is I use these things, peracetic acid test strips. You've got a colour guide down the side there. These are normally the sort of sample ends white, and what you do is you then dip this in your water that you put your peracetic acid in, that you're trying to sterilise, tanks, circuits, whatever, just to kind of give you confirmation. So what you do is you then get a colour like this. Is that going to focus? It's probably not going to focus, is it? Because it doesn't want to help me. It gives you a colour, and then you then grade that colour against the chart on the side to tell you that you've got the correct strength. I think off the top of my head, I think it's 250 milligrams per litre is a really good, solid, strong dilution. So you can see that there, that colour there. And then this has been sat on the side for a little while, so it's faded a little bit, but you can see that colour there. So that's pretty darn close. The good thing with this as well is these are pretty cheap and it avoids you overusing chemicals. So you can dose it to what you think it is, run it for a bit and then sample it and then find out, are you under or over? Obviously, if you're under, you can add a bit more. If you're over, then you know better for next time. Don't need to add as much next time. So that can make your life a little bit easier, give you an extra kind of level of certainty of what you're doing is correct. Whereas, you know, unlike with, you know, SteriCleanse and all that sort of stuff, you know, don't fear the foam, to a point, you kind of have to go with the guidance and then hope that that's correct. Obviously, always remembering that you cannot sterilize dirt. Always remember that. It's got to be clean, then you can sterilize it. So we've just finished all the runoff. Kettle's waiting to get to boil. We've got kind of set up. We're going to start digging out the mash tun in a minute, start weighing out some hops for this NZ Pale. So yeah, it's all good. So brew day number 2, we are coming towards, well, we finished sparge. So we have sparged everything through. We're now just doing the final runoff. We've got, whether you can see that there, come around camera, there we go. So we've got about 80 litres left to collect. So we're just running off what's left in the mash tun into the underback until we've just hit the volume we need in the kettle, and then we'll just shut it off. And again, then we'll just dump the rest down the drain because it'll be too weak. It will dilute the high strength work that we've run off along the way. So otherwise we'll end up with not get the OG that we want. So yeah, brew day's gone okay. I just thought I will show you some of the things that I do through a brew day. I mean, you've seen us kind of load stuff in and sparge and what have you a few times, but there's a few other bits and pieces that we do along the way to help try and keep track of the brew day, how the runoff is going. So to put this into context, so we're aiming for a final volume in tank of 900 litres. Boil volume is 1,000. with a boil off of about 40 litres is what I roughly allow and calculate for. Also off the back of that we'll end up with 960. Then as we then go through the Whirlpool process, transferring, heat exchanger, all those sort of losses, realistically we're going to lose that 60, hence the reason why we end up with 900 in FE, there and thereabouts. So what we have to, like you would do with your homebrew stuff at home, is you have to allow for grain absorption and losses. So actually we have mashed with 1,200 litres of water. Well, mashed and then sparged with 1,200 litres. We had 530 litres went into the mash-in with the recipe that I showed you earlier, and then we then sparged with 680 litres to then give us that final volume in the kettle. So that's kind of some of the mass you go through to make sure when you go from sort of beginning to end, this isn't like an all-in-one kit or all-in-one brewing system where it's all your mash, water and everything's all in, and then you just calculate it from there. So you have to play around with the numbers quite closely, just keeping an eye on the runoff and the underback. So you have to keep an eye on that to make sure how we do our calcs to make sure we get what we're looking for in the end. So we're at 950 now, so we're not too far away. Runoff is still happening quite nicely. I'll show you what the inside of the mash tun looks like as we're running it off. So you can see it's starting to come away from the edges. That's when you can tell you're starting to get to the back end of the runoff. The grain's starting to come away from the edge, all missed up a little bit. But yeah, so that's all now just running off down into the underback. I'm probably going to stop the mash pump for a moment, let the underback fill back up. And then let it pump out. Just continue to pump out as we are getting closer to our volume. So yeah, right, so what we're doing here is we've got the got the loop set up, so we're bringing it out of the kettle through the transfer pump and then all the way through the heat exchanger, coming back out, and I've got a block and a bleed valve here, so I've just got the valve into here is shut. I just need to get this thing reading correctly because it's just decided to, there we go. So I'm now reading the temperature of the liquid coming out of the heat exchanger. So now what I'm doing is I'm pumping, you can feel it, hot wort at the kettle all the way through the heat exchanger, back out and back down to the bottom of the Whirlpool. And what I can do is, as I'm bleeding this through, I'm pushing out all of the peracetic acid that's in the heat exchanger. And I can see on the sight glass here as it's starting to get hazier as, you know, wort is mixing with peracetic acid, and I can see the temperatures rising on the output of the heat exchanger. So I know, and I can give it the old finger test, but it's still stone cold. So we're definitely not into proper wort yet. And I'm looking for this to get properly hot and to see all of the, see, it's still cold, I can still put my finger in it, all of the nonsense push through from the kettle. I've also marked the kettle to the volume that we're on at the point at which I've started doing this transfer, just so I can record what we're losing along the way. Okay, this is starting to get hot now. Oh yeah, there we go. That looks like good work now. So I can now close that. I can then start transferring. Super, super clear, bright work going through. The temperature's now going to start shooting up. And that work looks amazing. But what we're going to do, that's just gone hazy again now I've said that, typical, is I like to let this, it's just sucked through some gunk because I opened the valve up to let it go, it's gone bright again now, is I like to let it run for a minute or two with the hot work from the kettle going through the heat exchanger into the Whirlpool tank. My reasoning behind that is I think it doesn't hurt to put red hot work through to give it an extra bit of sterilant, you know. Just helps mean there's the least amount chance possible for any bugs to be living in there. So I let that run for a little bit, and then I'll start putting the cooling water on using the temperature readout here, and then we'll knock it down to 78 degrees to get it ready for the Whirlpool stage. I'll bring you over so you can have a look at how cool this is. See, it's coming out the bottom of the kettle, not going up through the Whirlpool pump yet. And around into the pump, into the heat exchanger, and then it's coming out the heat exchanger, and we're currently on 90 odd degrees, and then it's coming out of this hose and then going into the Whirlpool. But look how, I'll probably put my fingers behind it, can you see how bright that is? That's amazing. Really good clarity out the kettle. So yeah, then we're going to make it hazy again with loads of hops. So yeah, right, let's get the temperature control going. So I've got an armful of hops, and I'm ready to just set up the to knock the beer down to get it across into the Whirlpool to get ready for the Whirlpool stage. Weighed the hops out. Smelling amazing, particularly not these. Hang on. This, the Ruaka, is smelling out of this world. Not too much of it. It's very powerful, but oh my goodness me, just all passion fruit. It's amazing. So all the hops weighed out. Let's get it out of the kettle and into the Whirlpool. So now we're just trying to dial the temperature control on that readout. You just hear the cold water coming back round into the hot liquor tank. Just trying to dial it back down to 78 degrees. Just have to tap the, oh, light's still on. Just have to tap the little ball valve. To get it flowing, hear it flowing now, drive the temperature down. So yeah, and then this transfer's quite quick. We don't use that much cold water. The cold liquor tank's been on for 24 hours. This transfer usually takes about 20 minutes-ish. This is a big batch, so it'll take a little bit longer. Because obviously we lose some temperature when it goes into the Whirlpool anyway, because it's single skinned, it's not insulated or anything like that. So I'm not as concerned as I could be about wanting it to be bob on straight away. Give it another tap. So yeah, 78 degrees is our desired Whirlpool temperature. New Zealand hops are smelling amazing as well. Really looking forward to how those guys come out. So yeah, it's just settling down now below 78, 77.1. I'm going to let it keep going until it stops. The other plus side is because we put 100 litres of 85 degree wort into the Whirlpool, we can afford to let it drop down a bit, let it stabilise, and then we can slowly bring it back. Whereas if you try and control it automatic, like load straight away, you're going to start getting into a whole world of kind of up, down, up, down. It's all about letting it stabilise and then tweaking it from there. Just while it's doing that, I'm going to give the, going to just hose up the wort we just dumped on the floor. I think I had a bit of an airlock in the pumps. It's suddenly got a load of flow. So we'll just give it a knock it back a bit. Yeah, and this is kind of knocking out to Whirlpool and transferring. So that's us done. Whirlpool was in. That went through like a dream. Really good hop cone as well. Smelled the Ruwacker, it was amazing. And transfer's done, cast off into tank, which was nice and quick actually. It was like 35 minutes to transfer 900-ish litres of wort across, so that's good going. Having the cold liquor tank chilled down definitely makes a really big help. So we've just got the yeast and ALDC to add. So ALDC stops all of those horribles that you want from any diacetyl being created by the yeast, hop creep and this sort of stuff. And then, as before, another big wet pitch of Haze Heaven, which has been out on the side since midday. It's 3:30 or 25 past 3. So we mashed in it. What was that? Started at probably 20 past 7. So it's a pretty good day, pretty good turnaround. Let's get this in, and then that'll be the end of the day. Oh, numbers wise, we're shooting for 1051 OG, and we got 1050. I'm going to take that all day long. All the numbers pretty much stacked up all the way through. The only thing that I've noticed, and I use Beersmith, that I want to have a bit of a closer look at is boil off rate. I've been keep on having to use both elements to hit the boil off rate. The Beersmith is telling me to hit my my numbers. I'm going to play around with the boil off rate in Beersmith, so after I get to a boil I can only back it off into one element, because that'd be more cost efficient from an electricity perspective. So yeah, we'll just need to play around with those a little bit. But let's get this in. The beer from yesterday that we brewed yesterday is fermenting away as we speak. That double IPA is absolutely rattling through, so that's going within 12 hours, but it was a very big pitch of yeast. let's get this in. So, make the lid off. So, a little bit of ALD6, not much, it's like 10-20 mil, it's not much, I don't bother measuring it. It does the job. These have got a funny new little tab on them. Shane's got a bit of a pressure on it, so I need to be a little bit careful. Releasing this one, I think. So, yeast pitch in. Obviously this beer is in collaboration with the guys at the Malt Miller. We are going to be kegging and canning this beer, specifically for our birthday, and you better buy them online as well. So New Zealand Pale has designed between the two of us. I say unfortunately Stiffo couldn't make it today, and the rest of the team are busy filling in the gap for him. But it's here in spirit, here in recipe. So yes, I'm sure this one's going to be a banger. So this is lid back on, and I'm just finishing CIP and the rest of the brew house off. Time to go pick my ladder up. Done. So that's it, brewed in number 2, done, in the tank, tied it up, time to go home. And then looking forward to brew day number 3, just to round it all off. It's been a great day, hope you've enjoyed watching along. See you again on the channel very soon.